welcome everyone. I'm going to be taking you through Guesty's new trust accounting platform. So thank you so much for being here. I'm excited to take you through this, just give you a little bit of an insight into Guesty Trust Accounting. Now, just a quick introduction for those of you that don't know me. So my name is Tamara Lett and I'm the Trust Accounting Product Specialist here at Guesty. So excited to be taking you through this today. And showing you what trust accounting is in Guesty, how it works, specifically tailored for our region. So during today's session, I'll be covering both Australia and New Zealand topics and configuration type things. So if you do have any questions, again, feel free to pop them down. Also happy to go through any more in-depth questions for a specific use case after this session too. So we'll just give you a bit of an idea of what today will look like. So opening words, which we're already working through. Towards the end of that, we'll jump into a live product demo, and then we'll have Q&A sessions at the end. We do have a few polls that we'll ask throughout the session as well, so keep your eyes peeled for that when we're up to there. Now, before we dive into trust accounting itself, I wanted to take a minute or two to introduce Guesty to those of you who aren't familiar with our software. So Guesty is the leading property management software, providing short-term rental hosts and property management companies the most comprehensive and streamlined set of tools they need to operate seamlessly, bringing in more bookings, create excellent guest experiences, and ultimately grow your business. Now, we first launched in 2013. Since then, we've raised over 400 million in funding, have 16 offices worldwide, and customers in 90 countries. Now, why you should care about these numbers? This team, the funding, our global locations means that we're always investing in you and your business every single day. So it means that we have better distribution, means we can focus on the core features and functionalities that are going to deliver high ADRs and operational efficiencies. What's more, Guesty offers packages for every size of businesses. So we have Guesty Lite, which is offering a host for 1 to 3 properties, looking to maximize earnings and on autopilot and grow with ease. For property managers with 4 to 200 listings, our Guesty Pro package offers professionals a way to optimize their operations for efficiency and scaling. And then we have enterprise companies, which have over 200 listings, where we offer customized scalable solutions to transform operations. So either way, whether you're just getting started or are a full-time property management company looking to scale, Guesty offers a solution that is suited to your business and its needs today and into the future. Now, as some of you may not be too familiar with trust accounting itself, I'm just going to take you through a few of the core foundations of it. So in short, trust accounting is the process of holding funds on behalf of owners or guests. Now, it ensures transparency, legal compliance, and financial integrity. So this means that a property manager holds trust money for other beneficiaries, such as owners, vendors, or even guests. Now, trust accounting in our region does differ between each state, territory, and country. Currently, for property management companies, trust accounting regulations apply for short-term rentals in Queensland and New South Wales, while many other property managers are simply choosing to operate in a compliant manner for both financial integrity and owner transparency as well. Now, since the majority of money is managed by the trust account or managed in the trust account, it's not owned by you as the property manager. Accurate accounting is extremely important. So it allows you to make better decisions on how you're running your business and how you're managing your clients' properties. Saves you time over the year, builds trust with owners, prepares you for end of financial year, and makes sure you remain compliant. Now, systems lacking robust automations can lead to missing guest payments, miscalculation of cash flow, or the owner and vendor payouts, and can lead to compliance issues. Now, while trust accounting isn't so different from regular accounting, there are some key components that do make it unique. So as you can see, there's a few different topics or a few different areas. So number one, separating trust and operating accounts. So we recommend maintaining a clear separation between your trust money or your trust account and your operating account. Even if this isn't legally required in your state, within Guesty, your trust account can be managed directly within the platform, while your operating account is handled through your general accounting system, such as Xero or QuickBooks or the like. Now, Guesty is run using double entry bookkeeping. So at Guesty, we automatically record every transaction twice. So once it's a debit and once it's a credit. This helps property managers track the source of the money, where it's been deposited at any given time. Now, within Guesty, you can choose between accrual or cash basis accounting. Now, accrual means you'll be paying out to owners regardless of the reservation payment status. And Guesty has two cash methods. So you've got cash with guest payment, which ensures you only pay out once the reservation is recognised as paid, while cash with funds in trust ensures money isn't recognised or dispersed until funds have physically been received. So for those users in Gold Coast and New South Wales, or Queensland and New South Wales, sorry, that do operate under a trust compliant regulation, we do recommend the third option to ensure that you receive the money before you physically pay it out. Number 4, protect the individual stakeholders' funds and make sure there's no commingling with the money. With Guesty business models, we automatically split the reservation funds based on your owner's contract. So creating detailed journal entries and ledgers make sure each stakeholder will receive the accurate amount. One of the most common items that can impact your profitability is expense management. So improper management can lead to reduced profitability and money left on the table. Guesty solves this problem by making expense management seamless. You and your team can record expenses the moment they occur and attach receipts directly in the platform and ensure that they will automatically appear on the owner's statement. Then we come to taxes. So taxes is a diverse topic across our two countries here today. Taxes can be displayed in Guesty and remitted by the PMC. Now, for those in New Zealand, we can automatically calculate and add in or apply the 8.5% app tax credit back per reservation. Now, I do have an example of that, which I'll show you later on. In our industry, there's many stakeholders looking to share a revenue. So from payment processors, charges to OTA fees or channel fees, collecting their commissions. At Guesty, you have the flexibility to allocate these costs so that your commission remains your true income. You can choose to pass on fees to guests or owners, depending on the regulations where you are, as well as how you operate. When charging to owners, these fees can be itemised as separate line items so they can clearly see it, or if you prefer, you can consolidate them under the owner's net rental income, so it's invisible to the owner. Now, having consistent and accurate reporting is a must, and it's all available for you within Guesty with a simple click of the button. Now, we'll look at the reports that will make a bigger difference when I go through the live demo later on, but all of the reports are available from Guesty. Now that you have a bit more background on trust accounting, we'll dive deeper into Guesty's new tool that makes it easier for you. So we're thrilled to present this tool to our ANZ users, built specifically for our region, and it's actually been based on months of intense research with a Queensland auditing firm, feedback from users, testing, troubleshooting, and the like. Now, for this one, we do have powerful infrastructure, so embedded in the industry's most comprehensive PMS, so your financial and operation data sync seamlessly. One source of truth, zero reconciliation between two systems. Effortless accounting, so close month end in minutes, generate audit-ready reports on demand, GST, banking, payouts, compliance, all handled without the manual additional steps. And deep market expertise, so built with Australian auditors to meet your strictest compliance standards, backed by support teams in Sydney and the Gold Coast who understand your market, your banking, and your regulations. So for our audit-ready reports on demand, we have the pre-built reports in regulatory format. So things such as your ABN, ACN license number for those in Australia. For those across the ditch, we have the IRD number and your NZBN that can be added. So this allows you to submit for faster month end and easier audit submissions. So again, zero manual adjustments needed for those reports. We have simplified owner payments. and vendor payments as well. So you've got generate ABA files for bulk owner payouts without manual transfers or individual entry. And GST is included in that as well. For New Zealand, similar file, but specifically related to the 3 banks that we currently support. So one upload once, and then all payouts are done. And we also have automated payout reconciliation. So process guest payments through Merchant Warrior and track transactions in Guesty with full BSB and account visibility. So it allows you to automate your payments from your guests right through to the end goal. Guaranteed compliance at every step. So keep your trust accounts aligned with your business model set up. So your journal entries are locked post-posting and your audit trail is pristine. We can customize owner statements, so we can deliver crystal clear monthly statements and tailored earnings reports to keep owners informed and build long-lasting trust. That does also include your financial year statements as well. We have GST inclusive pricing, so set prices with GST already included in those values, taxes extracted automatically for accurate compliance and reporting purposes. There's no manual breakdowns, no calculation errors. Everything is simply set up in Guesty and it's all automated. And soon we will have AI-powered reconciliation and complete expense management. So something very cool to look forward to as we move forward into the future quarters. Now, bit of a poll for everyone to break up the knowledge-heavy information. I'm going to pop a poll up on your screen. And what do you currently use for trust accounting? So don't be shy, answer when you're ready. I'll give it a minute or two to answer this one, and then I've got another one to pop up on your screen as well. Oh, we seem to be flicking between a different PMS and a general accounting tool, all about even at the moment, which is certainly interesting. I'm curious to find out, for those doing it manually, how many hours you spend a week or a month doing your end of month processes or your reconciliation at least. Wow. All right. So it looks like we've got a lot of answers there. Still feel a few still trickling in. So just for everyone listening in today, so we are about even. So between the 3 options, we've got 35% for both a different PMS and a general accounting tool, and 30% for those doing it manually. So very interesting stats there. Now, before I end this poll, is there anyone else that quickly wants to jump in and do it, if they haven't already? All right, so I'll end this poll. Thank you very much for popping your answers in. Okay, and another poll for you straight off the bat. We have, when is your revenue recognized? Okay, so I'll pop that one up on your screen now. At what point in the guest journey do you recognize real revenue? Do you do it on check-in? As soon as the guest checks in, you then disperse the funds? Do you do it on checkout, so you wait until the guest has actually departed before you process the money to your owners and to everyone? Or do you do it nightly, so you break it up based on the number of nights that the guest has stayed during that month? So based on the results that are still slowly filtering through, looks like checkout is a clear winner on this one. So a lot of other systems do use checkout as well as the default option. If you use check-in, nightly seems to be a slowly growing momentum there. So we have check-in sitting at 32%, we've got checkout at 50% and nightly at 18%. So certainly interesting stats to look at from afar, with checkout still building that percentage as well here. All right, any last minute takers for answering poll number 2? All right, well, I'm going to end that one. Thank you very much, everyone, for responding to that poll once again. We do have another poll towards the end of the session, but I'll keep that up my sleeve for now. All right, so now that we've gone through all the data, we've gone through all the information, what makes a trust account. So let's dive in. Just bear with me for a moment here. While I'm just logging in to take you through a live demo, if you've got any questions that we haven't yet gone through, feel free to pop them in the Q&A. That's up there for your benefit. Okay, and I've just got Guesty up on my screen there. Okay, so hopefully everyone can see your Guesty screen. It says good morning, Tamara on there. Nice little welcome to introduce you to our system. All right, so I'll just take you through a few of the core components to start with. Of course, as we go through, I'll probably be going through the different areas. But again, if you do have any questions, let me know. Okay, so when we first log into Guesty, all of our accounting information is set up under the accounting menu. So in here we have the setup, so just some basic setup items in here. So Guesty does differ compared to a few other local systems. So we actually automatically lock the prior period, and that's all based on the day or the date that the user wants to input in this particular field. We have the accounting methods, which we have discussed already. So again, just for those in Queensland and New South Wales, or any other regions that are operating under a compliant manner, we do recommend our cash basis and funds in trust account method. That just allows more financial security over the money before you're dispersing it. And as with trust accounting regulations, we do have these two questions down below. So do you want to create pending transactions? So if the owner doesn't have enough balance, you simply create it as a pending transaction. When that owner does have enough funds, that expense or that owner charge will then apply automatically. Or do you want your owners to go into a negative balance? So our recommendation there is, of course, to create pending transactions. Now we do have some automations coming through. So for Airbnb, a lot of users typically are on Airbnb. This automation allows the system to just get you one step further with that bank reconciliation step. Then we have our categories here as well. So in every account, you'll have your default list of categories, mainly pull from the reservation information or your additional fee settings. Our categories in accounting can be toggled on and off as well. So if you don't use one, you never will use one, then we'll leave that active until you turn it off. Okay, it just removes it from the list. Now you can also mark anything as trust monies as well. So as standard, your onboarder will toggle on your rental income and your management fee as standard trust monies. But if there is anything else you consider to be trust monies, then you can certainly toggle that on in here. Moving forward to our business models. So our business models here is the calculation piece, is the formula behind the scenes. So if I bring up this one here, and keeping in mind this is a test account with just some fake data, but it does have, you'll see all of this information in a normal live account as well. Now you've got your percentages up the top as your name. Now in this net rental income, this is realistically the formula piece. So you can select what you make or what you combine to be your owner's revenue for each booking. So things like extra person fee, weekly discounts. We've got an early check-in fee. If you incorporate that, or if you understand that to be owner's revenue, then you would select that in here. That would allow you to collect commission off that combined amount. In a similar way, if you charge your owner channel commission or channel fees, then you can certainly just tick the boxes on the right-hand side here. In a similar way, we do have the ability to reduce your owner's revenue from by the amount of an expense before you calculate your commission as well. So anything that's set up in that way will just show up in here. So similar to the app tax here, but obviously for the app tax solution, that's not the case. Okay. So if you have like an owner cleaning fee, for example, that the owner pays for the cleaning fee rather than the guest, that's the use case where you'd add that in here. As we move down, of course, you have your commission amount, the GST on that. So for New Zealand users, you can input the 15% GST where applicable. And as we scroll down, Guesty will give you the breakdown of each fee type or each category that is used within your entire Guesty account. So this comes from more the reservation, listing side of things, based on what you've set up. So you've got your standard cleaning fees, cancellation fee. If we come down a little bit further, you'll have your markups and any additional fees as well. So um, if, for example, you give your baby cots to a vendor specifically, so if you outsource them, you can actually toggle this directly to the vendor so that when these reservations are made, if there's a baby cot included in that, you can allocate those funds directly to the vendor at 100%, and that will bypass any owner revenue, any PMC revenue, property management company, for those who haven't heard that term before. And then you can certainly select the vendor involved. Okay. So it's quite information heavy. Now, just because you do see it in your business models doesn't mean that every single reservation or every listing will have it. Guesty automatically applies them in there to encounter to restrict any, I'll say, missing information. So Guesty always needs to know where you want the money to go. And we, of course, have our trust account expenses here as well. So you've got your channel commission and your pre-deducted channel commission for the likes of, say, Airbnb or Booking.com, Verbo, whoever you're connected to, that will take care of most of those channels. Now, as we move forward, I'll just jump into a booking to go through that with you. Now, of course, you can use your multi-calendar to look for reservations. You could use the search bar up the top here as well, or you could go specifically into a reservation report. Now, for this demo, I'm going to take you through this reservation here. Okay, and this one has a few different things. Now, this reservation is based on Australian settings, so keep that in mind. Our users from New Zealand, that this is a New Zealand one. Okay. So guest details up the top. Our guest folio is where we see the reservation breakdown. So we'll see in here what the guest actually pays. So we've got the accommodation fare and a booking fee in this case. We come down to our payments. So this one, as you can see up the top here, is partially paid. Okay, so we've still got an outstanding balance of $5,000 there. So as we move forward, we do have a scheduled payment here as well. So for the likes of Airbnb and Booking.com and some other channels there, as well as, for payment processing, scheduled payments, it will remain as scheduled until the date that it's there. So just to keep in mind that if you do see an account that's got a scheduled payment, that will auto record on that particular day. Now, jumping into the accounting part, so the part that we're all here for. So this is our accounting folio. So all of your reservations that flow through into accounting will have this particular view. So it breaks it down into 4 boxes. So we have our owner's ledger, our accounts payable, our cash, and our advance deposit. Now, this reservation is a future booking. So this is why I wanted to show you this booking first. So being a future reservation, as you can see, our clock's here. So this just means that it's a pending transaction, okay? It hasn't yet been recognized. When this date does come, okay, and that all depends on what is set up in the business models as well. So you can set up in your business models to be on that check-in, check-out, or that nightly basis. So this account does look like it has both of those in play here. So we've got our check-in for our advertising fee, and then our owner revenue and your commission amount on checkout. Now, what shows here is your payments. You've got your advanced deposit ledger. Now, the advanced deposit ledger is what will actually trigger those transactions to move between the owners and the accounts payable ledger. So when this reservation has checked out, based on the dates here, the net rental income will then appear on the owner's ledger, and then your commission amount will naturally come off that automatically. If there's any other fees that you have set up or any other expenses that apply either on a per reservation level or a per payment, anything like that, you'll also see that breakdown here. So that's all about what's set up in your business models and in your expenses. Now, Guesty does have the functionality to edit transactions as well. So if you see these ones here, for example, and you want to bring alignment into this specific reservation, you could apply, or you could edit rather, this journal entry so it appears on the same date as the other entries. Okay, so if you want everything to appear on April 4th, then you can simply just change that day. Okay. And that will then allow you, it's this one down here, all it does is change the day. It does allow you to change the name as well. So if you've entered something and you quickly realize that you've made a spelling mistake or you've entered the wrong amount, it's a really useful tool for that. So it allows you to correct things without having to reverse them completely and then redo them again. Now, as you can see on the right-hand side in our accounts payable box, we have each different ledger. So while it all revolves around accounts payable, that includes PMC, so property management company income, it includes vendors, and it includes tax. So in this example, I've got 4 different ones here in use. I've got, well, 3, sorry. I've got PMC, I've got goods and services, and I've got owner's VAT. So within Guesty, you will see owner's VAT here, okay? But when you look at your owner's statements and at your reports, you will see that as owner's GST. So we do have that translation in the background for that specific purpose for our region. Now, of course, you can add a transaction, you can add a journal entry if you need to deduct the owner an additional $50 for a cleaning fee or something like that. You do have the ability to do that in here as well. And of course, you can see your business model and your process date there. Now, once the revenue is recognised on this booking, you'll see the nice little green ticks all the way down where these little clocks are. So it's a really easy way to identify when the revenue has been recognised. When that time does come, that's when you can see that on the owner's statement. So important to know the difference between the little time clock as well as the green tick. Now, as we move forward, I'll just go through these other items here. So we have our posting journal. So the posting journal within Guesty is very customizable. It's a very good tool to allow you to look for a transaction or perhaps you want to look at an owner's ledger in more detail or where your revenue has come from. The posting journal allows you to do that. So you've got plenty of filters that you can use. Okay, so plenty of filters there. You also have plenty of columns here that you can use as well. So it all depends on what you're trying to do. You can, of course, save these report views as well. So if I just add in an extra column to show you, you can save that as a specific view just for you. So really helpful tool. Again, if you're looking at a recurring report, if you're always running it for the prior 30 days, then that's something that you could automate and you could save that as your preferred view. Anything that you do save, you can of course find under your menu option here in the similar way that you can find a reservation report or a listing report, anything like that. Okay, now from the posting journal, you do have the options on the right-hand side to add a transaction or add a journal entry or simply download it via CSV. So if I just click on the plus here, this is where you can move money from, from owner A to owner B. You can add in a payment from owner. So if a owner needs to top up their account for a large expense coming out, then you can add that in going payment from owner. And then you can also move and utilize working capital within Guesty. Now, I will also note that for every item that we're going through here, this is something that your onboarder, your accounting onboarder or our support team, if you're already using Guesty accounting, that's something that they'll take you through during that time. Now, if I just come into our financials here, so just taking a slight sidestep, okay, I want to show you the expenses. So within Guesty, we have separated our expenses or recurring expenses from our business models. That allows you more flexibility and less manual work in the setup side of things for your business models themselves. Now, New Zealand is a perfect example of this. So if I'm from New Zealand, I perhaps charge a 20% management fee on all bookings, but within that 20% banner, I'll say, you might have 5 listings or 5 owners that are non-registered for GST. So for those owners, that's where we apply the app tax credit back at the 8.5%, which can be set up like this and assigned directly to those listings. So that's why I've got these two set up in here. So you can see that even though it wasn't set up in the business models, we set it up here in the expenses, so you can clearly identify which owners have, or which listings have that have the app tax or need the app tax applied to their reservations. You do also have an expenses report. So this shows you the status of any expenses that have been added. It shows you what's coming up. It shows you what's the plan. You've got your filters again and your columns. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is because when we jump to our owner statements, you'll be able to see this insufficient funds expense there. Now, the reason that is because in our settings of this account, we've opted to have them as pending transactions rather than allowing the owner to go into overdraft. So I've got my insufficient funds, I've got submitted, and I've got scheduled. So anything that is submitted is already applied onto the owner's ledger or has been applied in Guesty directly. Anything scheduled generally means it's still upcoming, so it's still in the future. It hasn't yet had that expense date come today. And then you can, of course, cancel it if it's no longer relevant, and you can cancel a submitted one as well, as long as it hasn't been paid out yet. So as long as it hasn't been dispersed. You can generate a report from here as well. So if you need to look at perhaps the app tax as an example, then you can do that from this area as well. For those users that do come under trust compliance, we do also have the receipts available here. So as we know, your auditor generally recommends or requires you saving your payment receipts in order, sequential order from one all the way through. So your receipts option here takes you through and allows you to see all those payments made from a guest and all the details that are relevant to it. Now, if I come back to our accounting area, okay, just in our general ledger, we have our balances. So this is where you can pay everyone from. So you can pay vendors, you can pay owners. As I mentioned earlier, we do have the ABA file in Australia, or we have a BEX file in New Zealand, which allows you to bulk pay both owners and vendors for the amounts that are showing on your screen now. Now, that's a very simple task. So we just select any owners that we wish to pay. We can click pay. And then in our list here, we'll have ABA bank transfer file. Now, that does look the same for our New Zealand counterparts that are listening today, but it does generate in the format that you require it for your bank. You, of course, pop in your details, and you can download the ABA file directly from this page. Once that's done, then it flicks over to our disbursements, just to record or confirm that that payment has been made to that particular entity, whether it be an owner, vendor, a channel. So if I just come back to our balances, in our ledgers here, I think there was a question earlier about this. For the likes of Booking.com or Vrbo, Expedia, whichever channels you need to pay back the commission amount. So if they pay you the net and then you need, or the gross rather, if they pay you the gross amount of the booking and then you need to pay them back upon invoicing, those particular fees, as long as they're set up in Guesty, they will then end up here in our channels ledger. Now, this is generally where you see booking.com. You might see Expedia, Verbo if you're connected to them, or Agoda perhaps. It all depends on who you're connected to what you'll see in this particular area. What that does allow is as soon as you do get that invoice, you can pay it off directly from within Guesty. Up until that time, those funds will just be recognised as money held in trust. And we have reports, of course, that can show you that breakdown. As I move on to the owner statements, actually, I'll come back to owner statements. I'll just show you the cash management. So, of course, for a lot of our users, whether they are compliant or need to be compliant or whether they're choosing to, they do like to do a bank reconciliation just to have that handle of money understood. So this check register, the idea of this is to replicate your bank statement. So, for example, Airbnb send you one simple payout that includes 10 reservation payments. In Guesty, it will automatically group that specifically for Airbnb, but it'll look a little bit like this one here. Okay, so we'll have Airbnb as our description, and you'll have the amount that they transferred to your bank, and that's using the payment API that we have from Airbnb. Once this step is done, you can then move into your bank reconciliation. Now, in Guesty's bank rec, okay, as you can see in this example, we have a reconciliation period for each individual month. That allows cleaner reporting and allows you to keep up to date with your bank dates. So if I come into this one here as my draft, this is the current open month. As you can see, I'm a little bit behind. I've only reconciled up until the 15th. But in this example, it'll show you all the payments that are not yet reconciled. Okay, so we have all of these details in here. So once you confirm that they've hit the bank, you can simply just tick them off. So nice and easy. So once that does happen, then you can click Save as Draft. And when you do have this difference as $0, you will then be able to submit the reconciliation. So if you're doing your bank reconciliation every day or at least once a week, then you can either save it as draft, which will allow you to run your accurate reports for the three-way report, for example. You can save it, or you can submit it. So submitting it allows you to run those applicable reports. Save as draft just means that you're going to come back and finish it later. Now, of course, for those that are under regulations, we do have an adjustments feature here as well. So that allows you to temporarily recognize a payment or a value while you're still investigating what that's for. So if you get a deposit from someone that you don't know who it's for yet, while you investigate where that belongs, you can pop that in the adjustments here, and that will allow you to continue your reconciliation process until such time where that reservation or owner or wherever it's come from is recognized and applied correctly. Now, I can see lots of questions coming through in our chat here, which is great. So thanks, Alvin, for jumping on there. I'm just going to bring you to our owner statements here. Now, start with the New Zealand owner statement template here that I've got. Okay, and this is based on this account. I wanted to try and cover a few different aspects of the details here. So for our New Zealand accounts, you won't have your ABN ACN license number, but instead you can choose to show your New Zealand business number, so your NZBN, or your IRD number. So they can be entered into these two fields, and that translation will happen as well. So your owner will see it as NZBN or IRD number as well. We have our categories here. Then as we move down the page, it gives you the breakdown of your owner details. So if we look at this one here, you've got rental payment, PMC commission, management fee, GST, and those descriptions are entirely up to you as well. On this example for this New Zealand account, or for this New Zealand statement, I have also included the option to show the GST on accommodation figure. Okay, so again, specifically for New Zealand in this case, you can see the 15% of the accommodation fare. And if we look at this bottom reservation here, you can also see the 8.5% credit back that has been given back to the owner. As we move down the statement, of course, if you have any other transactions or anything else that you charge the owner on a reservation basis, they will also be outlined in here. We have a property expense. Now, this property expense has an invoice attached to it, so you can choose to show your owners the invoice for any transactions or any expenses that you add in. You also have any owner transactions. So in this one, we had a mid-month March payment to owner on the 24th for $618. So again, everything's recorded in Guesty. Now, we do have this pending transaction. So if you can recall back to the previous screen or one of the previous screens when I showed you the expenses, we did have a insufficient funds showing up in there. And that is simply this air conditioning replacement, which is showing up as pending for your owner. So again, just allowing that transparency and that visibility. If we look at the Australian statement, it is very similar. Of course, you've got your details up the top, generated date, tax invoice. You can show working capital if you have that. And then you can see the breakdown of the reservations. So on this particular owner owns many different listings. So we've got Harry's Beach House and Harry's Cabin. Everything will be itemized on a listing basis. Okay, and then on this one, there hasn't been any mid-month payments or anything like that, so nothing else shows at the bottom. If I come back into my accounting area, and I'm just going to go through some of the other reports that are needed. So in our reports here, specifically for the ANZ market, we have built a few additional reports. So the new ones, I should say, are from the cash account reports all the way down. So the cash account reports is where you'll see your three-way balance, where you'll see any unpresented payments or refunds, or disbursements, I should say. You have your cash book, so that shows you all the money going in and out. Cash adjustments, we have our monies held in trust. So this is where you can find your advanced deposit report to show you what money you're holding on reservations in the future. We've got our ledger detailed, and then our PMC income reports. So our PMC income reports are obviously very useful for your own reconciliation purposes for that general accounting side of things. So the PMC income summary will show you each category that's been used throughout the month, such as an advertising fee, a booking fee, payment processing fee, perhaps, your management fees. It will outline the different categories that you've received money from and the value that you've received during that month. We do also have our GST reports down here as well, and then a month by month. Now, there is other additional operating reports, I'll say, that are contained up here. You can certainly use them. The only difference is that those ones don't have the required business details on them that we need for auditing purposes. So all of our specific ANZ reports have your ABN, ACN license number when they're filled out, I will add. They have the generated date, the period that it's been run from, all the things, all the details that the auditors need when they're doing their quarterly audits or their monthly audits, depending on how frequent they are. So it's important that you just utilize the reports for that end of month process separately. But of course, you can run any of these reports at any time within Guesty. Jessica, I've just seen your question pop up. So great question. So is there an automatic end month report generation? So this is a hot topic at the moment for all users using Guesty accounting in our region. Whilst it's not currently available, I believe it is on the roadmap for Q2, if not Q3. So our team do understand the importance of having a more efficient way, I'll say, of creating these reports or downloading the reports, even if it's just visualizing them on the screen first. Our team are aware that it does cause some friction needing to generate each report. Just so everyone is aware on the call though, when you do hit export on any of these, that does email to you, and the emails come in probably within 30 seconds. They are very quick, but I do understand the want to have a more overall approach to running all your reports at once. So hopefully we'll see that come through in the future, in the near future. But that is where that one is. The owner statements, I'll grab that one too. So if we come into our owner statements, well, we did have a look at them, and we didn't have a look at how you generate them. So under our owner accounting here, we have our owner statements. Now, these ones are generated for February. Of course, March hasn't actually completed the month yet, so these statements aren't showing on this account, but you can share them via the owner's portal, okay, and by email. So if I select both of these, I can share this to the owner's portal, so I can upload it directly there, or I can share it by email. Now, for your specific question, you can download them in bulk as well. So that is part of the end of month requirements for the reports. So you can download them all at once. They will then sit in this little area here. Once they're ready for you to download, you can then trigger that to be accessed. And that will can take a few minutes depending on the size of your portfolio, but they'll always show in there. In a similar way, same with end of year statements, you can always create them in here as well. So if you come into your annual statements, we have 3 different levels or 3 different formats that you can generate. You can generate all 3 if you want as well. So if you want to do just an annual summary, you can pick your year and then you can show it for specific owners. You can run it for all owners. Once they are generated, they will also populate in this area here when you're using the right filters. So once the owner's statements are ready, or once your business is ready to generate the end of year statements, that will of course sit in here as well. Now, just as an extra note there, understand that New Zealand has a different financial year to Australia. So that is something that we can set up or confirm in our background. So for those users already using Guesty accounting, I'd recommend just logging a support ticket or just reach out to your customer success manager to confirm that particular date or month that will be set to. Okay, so just a few, I'll just run through a few questions that we had prepared ahead of time for today, just that questions that we quite often see users request or ask. So can I start accounting when I go live with Guesty is one of the common questions that we have. So for those users that are using a different system at the moment, our rule of thumb is if you are starting Guesty for the core product and obviously have accounting in your package, we do try and get it aligned as best as possible. However, there is some circumstances if you start or go live with Guesty towards the later part of the month, that we may recommend you commence accounting purposes on the first of the new month. That does just allow you a bit more time to get your account set up as far as your additional fees side of things, anything else that you want to set up. But we can, of course, start your accounting onboarding journey at that go live point. So it just depends on how your account, how large your account is or how large your portfolio is, at what time of the month it is, and how far into Guesty accounting you want to go. So for example, if you're a Queensland user who needs to do the full end-to-end accounting for compliance, then we would recommend you start on the first of the new month just to make it a nice and clean. Also means less stress for you as the property management company trying to get everything done, and allows you to get more comfortable with Guesty itself before jumping into accounting. However, if you don't need to do things like bank reconciliation, or if you're just using Guesty for the general accounting side of things, then we can certainly get you live beforehand. But the time frame is generally discussed with your onboarder initially, or even the salesperson prior to that. So if you do have a hard deadline that you want to meet for your go live date, certainly let our team know, and we'll do our very best to accommodate that. Another question that we have is, can you use bank reconciliation if you have just one bank account? So some users do have both the owner money or guest money going into one bank account, as well as their operating expenses going in or coming out of that account as well. In that case, we do recommend you not use bank reconciliation, because it will be a lot of extra work and upkeep to be able to do so. What we do recommend in that case is, if it is a possibility, to split your accounts, to create a separate account that you treat as a trust account, or acting trust account in some states and countries. And you can use that. So all the guest money goes into that. You pay out of that for owners and for vendors. But you don't have your operating expenses going in and out of that account. All right. Well, I'll come back to my slide here. Now, if you do have any other questions, feel free to email events@guesty.com. Our event team will certainly pass on any feedback, any questions, anyone interested in learning more. And also for those users that do want to learn more, we will be having a team member reach out to you as well. And that will also enable you to ask those questions to get in, to understand more about your specific business, your use case, and anything else that we can help with. If you are a current Guesty user, and you're interested in learning about Guesty accounting, especially the cost of it, certainly reach out to your customer success manager, and they can take you through that. In a similar way, if you are a new Guesty user or not yet using Guesty, feel free to, you've already responded to our poll, so we'll be in touch regarding that, and you can certainly understand more about that. You can book a demo with one of our account executives to take you through the wider platform as well, and to understand your specific business. Make sure that we can certainly support your operating methods. And of course, if you are open to watching more Guesty webinars, feel free to register for future events. Of course, we do have a worldwide platform, worldwide team, so there's always new things, new features, webinars, discussion points. There's always new things coming up and to keep an eye on. So always, you can certainly subscribe to us on socials as well, to follow that through. Thank you very much for joining us. It's been lovely to have you follow along, ask questions. It was a very interactive session, so thanks, Alvin, for grabbing all those questions. But as I mentioned at the start, we will be sharing the recording of today's session in the coming days, so keep an eye out for that. And of course, if you do have any questions in the meantime, our team will be in touch with you as well. All right, excellent. Well, I'll wrap it up there. Thank you very much again, and look forward to hearing from you all very soon.